legal immigrants aren't safe, then who is?
American citizens.
But he is a green card holder here legally.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Yes. He's not a U.S. citizen. So you would get rid of all borders.
Yes.
When you land from an international flight at JFK Airport, no passport checks.
Nope.
Tell you where I think he was wrong. What he was wrong about, though, was the state of human nature. Generally not so good as human beings.
Private companies with all of their record profits.
Homelessness is not a money problem.
So I have two questions. My first one is, if Jesus fed people for free, taught people for free, and healed people for free, why don't we do the same?
Churches should.
Churches should? Okay. But why can't we do that on a more systemic level through government programs? Hey, maybe private companies with all of their record profits. Why hasn't Elon put up some of his own private money to help end homelessness?
Because homelessness is not a money problem.
Homelessness? Tell that to homeless people then.
I have. I say, you know what? Almost every single one of them has either mental problems or drug disorders. It is not a matter of lack of capital. It's that they should either be in an asylum or they're doing hard drugs and they don't want to stop. We have homelessness.
Asylums that Ronald Reagan defunded? There are asylums that Ronald Reagan
Yes, if we want to talk about bringing back asylums, I'm all for that. I have an entire political party I would put in an asylum.
Okay. Then we... All right. My second question is about Mahmoud Khalil. He was a legal immigrant with a green card, with a wife and a baby on the way, exercising his free speech rights. So my question is, if legal immigrants aren't safe, then who is?
American citizens.
But he is a green card holder here legally.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
Yes. He's not a U.S. citizen.
How does it not matter?
Read the Immigration Naturalization Act. What Mahmoud Khalil did was he went and protested, celebrating the death of Jewish babies, celebrating Hamas in Gaza, and under the Immigration Naturalization Act, it says very clear the Secretary of State can deem somebody who has a green card or a temporary visa holder as a threat to the United States of America and against our geopolitical interests, of which Mahmoud Khalil did and is, and he can go make Turkey great again and go back to his country of origin.
He's from Palestine, not Turkey.
Well, he jumped around the Middle East a lot. But the point being, do you believe that being here in America here is a right or a privilege?
Is a right and a privilege.
You have a right to be here?
Yes, I believe anybody has a right to movement to wherever they want.
So you would get rid of all borders?
Yes.
So when you land from an international flight at JFK Airport, no passport checks?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for so bluntly telling us your view.
I'm a dirty commie, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, that would be my third question. What is your definition of socialism?
Well, in the theoretical, the abstract, or the practical?
Take your pick.
So socialism, as written by Marx, is when the workers own the means of production.
Exactly.
In the actual practical, it's when a small group of very powerful, pernicious people are able to control the rest of the population under the guise of helping the many, when in reality it helps the few, and you get dictatorship, murder, and slaughter, and the revolution never actually comes.
Okay.
It ends in 100 million people dead over the last 100 years.
What about American companies that function as worker cooperatives, which are effectively socialism in practice?
That is partially some of the tenets of Marx. Of course it is. Like Publix grocery stores in Florida.
Okay. So you're in favor of worker cooperatives then?
Yeah, if it's done voluntarily, that's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree. For example, in a church, if you go to a church and everyone says we're going to go share this meal, that's a voluntary cooperation. But socialism is not hinged on voluntarism. It's using a gun. It's by force you must be part of this. Well, by force you must give us your money. By force you're going to be part of our cooperative. Voluntarism is something we all support. It's when you start to use the heavy hand of the state that we start to object it.
I agree. I'm not here to defend Cuba or China, the USSR, or any of that.
Or Vietnam, or
no.
Laos, or Cambodia, or Rhodesia, or Zimbabwe.
So basically, if we can agree that voluntary worker ownership of the means of production,
if they so choose.
Okay.
It can work. It also can fall apart. There's plenty of instances where it does, because the problem is that the incentive structure sometimes for innovation with voluntary cooperatives is not always very strong or robust. But
No.
yes, in a market, you're allowed, for example, I have no problem with the Amish living the way they do in Pennsylvania.
Neither do I.
Yes, however, I do have a problem saying we're going to force you to live like the Amish. That's where we disagree.
No, I agree with
Well,
you.
I'm saying, but where socialism has played out over the last 100 years.
Yes, some people have interpreted socialism
Yes, but
that way, yes.
so for you, as a true socialist, you should go get a bunch of your buddies and friends, go out into the countryside and go live as socialists. See how long you last.
Would you be in favor of tax cuts and loopholes to people who want to start a worker cooperative and exist as a worker cooperative in a market?
I mean, I would give tax cuts for all people, but if they want to do that voluntarily in a market economy, knock yourself out.
Okay. So, we've agreed.
I think so. But here's the point. The question, will you, though, as a socialist, go out and live your value system? Will you go and, say, hey, I'm not going to own any stuff. 10 friends of I are going to go, we're going to grow our own
There's
food.
a difference between personal property and private property when it comes to socialist theory.
Okay, but
Personal property is things like your toothbrush, your clothes. I would even go so far as to say your house.
can I have 2 houses?
It depends.
It depends.
That's a
So if
very
I have a second house,
complicated
you might just
question.
take- you might
That's
just
a very
take it away.
complicated question that I necessarily don't
not-
really have an
it's
answer
not
for
that
you right
complicated.
now.
If you earned it, you get it. Not complicated. That's our view, right? You get what you earn. And the problem with socialism is that it is against my favorite word in the English language, earn. We believe that you should be able to receive
No,
what you
I
earn.
agree with you. As a socialist, I think you should be able to keep what you earn. Marx's critique
Which he
was
was
of
right
the
about some
hyper
stuff.
wealthy stealing the wages of hardworking people who are trying to earn.
Let me tell you what Marx got right, and then let me tell you where I think he was wrong, because I've actually read and studied Marx. Marx is correct that market forces can alienate people from their humanity. That he was very right about that.
Yep.
And you walk into like your average corporation, sometimes it's like the most soulless place you ever walk into. What he was wrong about, though, was the state of human nature. That we believe humanity, we as conservatives and Christians, we're generally not so good as human beings. Marx believed humans were really good and that we're being polluted and contaminated by the societal forces around us. Racism, misogyny, capitalism, all these forces are caused. We have to strip down all of these external forces, and we'll be able to live as in wonderful harmony in the hills.
And I would agree with that.
Okay, and so that's where we think that's insane, that human beings are naturally good. Secondly, the idea of...
Wait.
We think...
Mark's saying that he wasn't saying that people are naturally good once you remove all these things. The fact that racism, sexism, all these other isms exist is proof of the fact that humans, yes, do have a tendency towards evil, bad behavior.
Well, that's not what Rousseau believed. So Rousseau was the foundational baseline for Marx, right?
So Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Yeah, Rousseau. So Rousseau was the one who argued that it's human beings that are naturally good, and we don't have a proclivity towards this stuff. And what we will agree is that there is a problem with widespread alienation of human beings and market forces. It's a big problem.
Yeah, and
It's the
people
biggest-
are alienated by capitalism. Yes.
But not definitionally. Some people find a lot of purpose in their work, though. That's where I disagree with Marx.
Sure.
Is that some companies are able to create robust environments where people are happy and they're connected. It's not a fault of the system. It's a fault of some applications that happen in the system.
Okay, then we just disagree on our interpretations of Marx.
So
then.
I guess the final question, though, is you, as a socialist, can you point to a single time where this theory worked?
The Zapatistas in Mexico in 1991 when NAFTA went into effect.
How long did that last?
To this very day, it is still a region today.
And they don't own anything?
They collectively own their property.
Okay, I have to look at that example. I mean, I would point to the
Zapatistas, Rojava in Syria is an autonomous zone that has existed autonomously in spite of the Syrian civil war that's been going on there. And again, I would point to American and other businesses in other countries that function as worker cooperatives. That's socialism at work. Granted, they are in a capitalist.
We would say it's voluntarism. Yeah.
They are in a capitalist market.
How do you reconcile the Soviet Union, Chinese Communist Party, Pol Pot? How do you reconcile the failures of socialism the last 100 years?
I just disagree with their interpretation of socialism. I don't think that you should wield authoritarian power in order to force people into socialism.
So here's what we believe, and we'll close on this. Every time it will be tried at scale, a very bad person will assume control under the guise of socialism and become a permanent dictator.
I disagree with the at scale. I would argue that our modern library systems are also examples of socialism.
Wrong.
You literally come...
Someone's in charge.
I can literally walk into Hodge's library over here, check out a book for free, and they trust me to come and bring it back.
It's not free. Someone paid for that book. It's called the taxpayers, so it's not free. The building has to be built. Someone has to pay for the plumbing and pay for the electricity, pay for the heating. Someone has to pay for the workers. Number two, if there is a disagreement within the library and you steal the book, what happens? You don't check out in the right process. You have an overdue fine, so there's a cost to it. You see, the library is actually a very capitalist system because if you don't rewind the old VHS
there's some
tapes...
librarians who say that overdue fines actually don't even work and they don't even provide really good incentive
nevertheless,
for people to bring back their books.
But the point, if you would say the library is a hallmark of socialism, the librarian is still in charge. I'm going to get to the next question. Thank you very much. Appreciate it for your time. Thank you.